Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Fintech Fridays. I am joined today by Larry Silver. Larry is a partner in Mortgage Career Exchange. And if you're a avid, rabid fan of Fintech Fridays, you'll remember back, 30, 40, 50 episodes, I had Larry's partner Mo on as you guys were launching. And so, Larry, thanks for joining me. I'm interested and excited to kind of get an update on what you guys are up to.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
So we'll start by, we'll start by just talking about how you and I've kind of got connected and had a lot of digital conversations before we actually had a screen conversation. And hopefully sooner than later, we have a live in-person conversation as well. But kind of started on this LinkedIn platform and just each of us recognizing and responding to content that we were putting out. And it just goes to, again, I talk about this a lot, but it goes to show how these comments in a thread can turn into meaningful one-on-one conversations. And so this is a good example where we've landed here on FinTech Fridays for this conversation.
Great example. I mean, it's a tremendous networking platform, and we both use it pretty avidly, and our worlds have collided.
Right on. So let's talk about Mortgage Career Exchange. But before we do that, just help the audience that doesn't know Larry, help them understand kind of what your background and pedigree is relative to our industry.
Absolutely. Appreciate that. So I'll give you the 5-cent tour. Might evolve into a 10-cent tour, we'll see. But, started off as a loan originator in the broker space. Shortly after college, I was working in a retail buyer's office and, working long hours, and just income was capped. Wanted to do something different, and through a friend of a friend, ended up in the mortgage space. So good training. They said, "There's the phone. There's some leads. Make it happen." Just had to pick up the phone and talk to people. Fast forward a few years later, ended up partnering with somebody and starting a mortgage broker shop. So if you remember, Ally Mortgage Capital Corporation was the largest mortgage broker in the country. First Metropolitan Mortgage was the second largest in the country. So we were a branch of First Metropolitan Mortgage. Young, hungry, didn't know any different, but understood like the fundamentals of sales, the fundamentals of mortgage banking, and wanted to do things differently. So we started a mortgage broker shop in Rockville, Maryland, grew that pretty significantly with predominantly people that had no experience in the industry, both on the processing and origination side. We were the number one branch for First Metropolitan Mortgage 7 years in a row. Financial crisis comes, the wheels come off, the world stops. Okay, what are we going to do? Decided to enter into the direct lender space. So I had an opportunity again through networking, through a friend of a friend. Ended up at a company, New Day Financial. Went in and worked my way up. Worked directly with the CEO because I had run a business, had a business. Knew what it took to make payroll, knew what it took to turn the lights on. Pretty much did everything from running the sales team to running recruiting, operations. I was in capital markets, ran the capital markets desk, I ran HR. Anytime we had to fix a business unit or start a business unit, I was kind of tapped on the shoulder and said, "Hey, can you go in and do this?" So I've cut my teeth in every area of the mortgage industry except for compliance. Always did my best to stay away from compliance.
Stay compliant, but stay away from compliant.
Did not want to be in the compliance wing of the building, and didn't, really get too far into underwriting. Obviously, if you do a great job preparing your files for underwriting, then certainly you don't have to spend too much time in underwriting.
Right.
All that being said, next pandemic comes. I have some difficult conversations about what are we going to do. At that time, really 12 years in, decided, you know what? I enjoyed hiring, recruiting, training, developing young men and women coming into the industry and helping the industry. And so I decided to start a staffing firm, recruiting agency during the pandemic. Probably not the smartest thing to start a staffing agency when the world's shutting down. But, I was able to build the groundwork. Went back to the industry that I know, which is mortgage finance, 20 years of history. And for me, the more people that I can help and could help in the industry, the more you can serve the entire business itself. So reached out to banks, credit unions, independent mortgage bankers, home builders, any contacts that I knew, and said, I'm doing staffing. Quickly, the industry took off like crazy. Now, never wanted to do the old school traditional staffing, which is, go hunt, find the person, poach the person, get the fee. Wanted to build something a little bit differently. So that's where the mortgage career exchange kind of had its impetus. It was like, how do we create a high value, low cost model that really aligns the right person with the right organization? And so that was that was something we started building. A couple years in, Mo and I got together, and he was at a crossroads in his career. And we said, we really want to expand on the mortgage career exchange and really make it something special for the industry. Not just, can you find me this person? Can you hire this person? But how do we become a valuable resource for HR teams, for recruiting teams, or hiring managers and companies looking to grow their organizations with the right people at the right time?
Love it. Love it. Yeah. When Mo and I did our first episode, it was, like I said, it was before, I think you guys were like days from an official launch. And that was probably, I don't know, a year and a half. Does that sound about right?
About 2 years ago, yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit over, less than 2 years ago.
Yeah. So you guys are, almost 2 years into this thing. What does the business look like? And really, from your seat in that, in the lens of the industry, what's the mindset of the industry from that, that recruiting and staffing perspective?
Absolutely. So a couple questions there. Let me start with the mindset. We're, no secret, there's headwinds. Everyone's dealing with them. There are certain organizations and companies that are super excited for the future. They've strategized, they've planned, and they're focused on not like, where are we going to be this month, but where we're going to be this year, we're going to be the next 3 years, we're going to be the next 5 years. And those organizations are preparing. Hopefully, they made some money during the run. They put it away, they saved, and now they're able to invest in the organization a lot through technology and other things. Those companies, those organizations always have their antenna up for talent. I get the phone call often. It's like, hey, I need this person for this type of position. And my first question always would be, okay, did you need them yesterday or can you get them tomorrow? But the real strategic organizations, they look for talent at all times. They're always out there. They've got their brand, they've got their culture, they've got their people. They're interested in talking to good people because there's always restless talent. There's always good talent out there. So I'd say there's cautious optimism throughout the industry. You see it, we all see it. Not the like the sun's going to come out tomorrow, but let's buckle down, let's work hard, let's get through this. And we've seen these cycles every time they come around. You can't predict when the cycle's going to turn, but you can prepare. And that's what we're about. How do we provide a solution so that organizations can have their culture, their environment, the opportunities to either bring quality talent on today if they're ready, or at least have their brand and image out there to the talent so that when they are ready, it's an easy match. So, going back to like where we've evolved as a model, the staffing hunt model, like we still have that. I've got a full team of recruiters. They go out, they find people entry level up to C-suite. But the Mortgage Career Exchange as a platform, it's a membership model. So, people come in, they pay a yearly annual fee, and they've got all access to the talent. We've got syndicated job boards right now, goes out to 100 major job boards, minor job boards. We've got live career events, and we've got a lot of other pieces to it that really allow you to connect with talent without having to pay a search fee, without having to pay a hire fee. And the ultimate goal is, can we provide an environment that supports the people of the industry? Now, when I say supporting the people of the industry, we're talking about the business owners, we're talking about the managers and the leaders, and we're talking about the employees themselves. So 360 supporting the people. And the ultimate goal is, can you get the right person in the right role with the right organization? And if you've got that best fit, you're not replacing that role, you're not replacing that person, or you're not looking for a new company 18 months, 2 years, 3 years down the road.
So you talk about the exchange as a platform, right? So when I hear kind of the right fit, matching the right fit, it feels like the platform has some intelligence engineered into it. Is that fair to say?
Yes. So, one is the intelligence side. So, like, I'll take our career events, for example. You put like what you're looking for, what your skills are. If you align with the openings and opportunities at those organizations in a live event, which is only 2 hours, you're standing in line to talk to a company. It's going to push those people that are a better fit, a better match to the organization to the front of the line. So it allows them to have those meaningful conversations. We are working with a technology company to develop a little bit more of that cultural fit, that cultural matchmaking. So we've got projects in queue to create a stronger, more deep experience of matching up. But we also on the platform have the opportunity for organizations to put videos, to put collateral, to really showcase who they are, what they're about, so that the candidates themselves, the talents themselves, can say, okay, that is an organization that I align with. That's a company that resonates with me. That's something that really, speaks to me, and that seems like a good cultural.
So as I think about like our industry specifically, there's a few kind of one-off, I'll just say people that have built databases, right? Probably more on a, ad hoc basis in times of need. I'm not familiar with another mortgage focused platform like you're describing that exists. Am I right or wrong in that?
Not one that I know of. We've got about, I'd say, 40,000 mortgage professionals that we've curated over the past 5 years. So they're all in our ecosystem. We're able to reach out to them and market to them. But the database is not about who is looking today, right now. Can you pluck them? Look, if you put a job posting out right now for an underwriter, you're going to get 1,000 applicants, right?
Right.
I mean, anybody can do that. But for you to have your brand in a safe space where a mortgage professional can go in, not expose themselves, shop around, figure out, is this the best place for me? Or realize I'm in the best place today. I don't need to be looking. And so that safe space to explore, to really understand what those companies are and to see if there's a better opportunity. That does not exist. It's something that we're pretty excited to continue to build. And it's something that we realized was a big hole. And unfortunately, a lot of people to get past that in the last like hiring cycle, they were throwing money at it. So you had these large sign-on bonuses. You had people handcuffed to companies. Individuals were regretting their decisions. Companies were regretting their
Right.
decisions. But you're locked in, and so what you do is you paid all this money, and now you're just locked in and hoping that it gets better. And ultimately, it doesn't.
Right. Yeah. Usually, they say if it walks and talks like a duck, then you pretty much know it's a duck.
Yes.
So how do individuals, so these would be those of us in the industry, how do we find the platform? Like, what are you guys doing besides talks like this? Like, what do you do to get the platform, kind of the awareness for the platform out there?
A lot, believe it or not, LinkedIn is a huge place for us. There's other ways, and there's other places. LinkedIn seems to be the more professional platform. So when you're looking at quality talent, folks that carry themselves at a different level, LinkedIn is the biggest. Again, 25 years in the mortgage industry, word of mouth gets out. And we've built this database already. So when you're advertising, we have a live event or we have jobs, that goes out to the database. And it may not be the individual that was in our ecosystem, but everyone knows somebody.
That's right.
And so we get constant every day. We've got someone. Where do they go? What do we do? And so that's how we're building it and continue to build it. So LinkedIn is the predominant space that we advertise in, and we spend a lot of time and energy doing so.
And I think there's some encouragement in what you're describing and some of the words you've used, right? Because you have this exchange, this platform. It's active, right? It may not be as active as it was during the pandemic, but it's active. And so that's a signal, that there is hiring going on. There's always hiring at some degree, some level going on without naming names and brands and logos. Do you see any kind of segment of the industry where there's more activity than others?
Yes. So we've had some pretty good years. I'll tell you, last year was our busiest. 2024, predominantly in the home builder space. Home builders, housing, there's a shortage that's not going away anytime soon. So home builders gearing up and continue to gear up. Right now, we are seeing a lot of activity. I'd say in the broker space is picking up some market share. And there are several IMBs that have established themselves. They saw profitability. Keyword, they saw profitability in 2024, and they're okay. We have the infrastructure, we have the environment to be successful. How do we then build on that and grow from that? So, we're seeing it in every segment actually, on the broker side, the IMB side, the credit union space, and the home builders.
Yeah, it's encouraging because it's, too much. There's still a lot of green circles out there on the LinkedIn platform, but having these types of conversation, I think, helps people, gives a little bit, not necessarily hope, but shines a light on the fact that there is hiring going on. You've got to be smart and strategic about where it's at, and it feels like a platform like yours is a perfect place for, certainly for somebody that's in the market looking for work, but also, like you said earlier, someone that's maybe unsure if they're at the right place. And now is a good time to kind of evaluate that. And I loved how you described, in some instances, people come to understand that they may be in the best spot for them at this time.
In most conversations, if somebody's in a place today, you really want to evaluate that first, right? Are you in the right place? Have you talked to the right people? Like, why are you making this decision? Why are we having this conversation?
Right.
And it might make sense. There might be real reasons. And oftentimes it could be they're in the wrong department, or they feel capped in their opportunity for growth, or they're relocating and
Yeah.
it just might not work.
Right.
But that should always be the first place. Like, have you spoken with the right people in your organization to take those next steps in your career? If that's not the case, what are you looking for? Why are you looking? And how do we get you there? For us, some of the tools that we have, checking references and getting that in advance of the interview, crucial. Looking at certifications and providing education. We do have an education piece where we can provide the education, we can help with the resume, we can help with the LinkedIn profiles, so that you're able to highlight yourself above the crowd. And ultimately, if individual folks in the business are serious about taking those next steps, they're going to invest in themselves. And if they invest in themselves, organizations see that and say, that's the type of person that I want to work for me. It's kind of sad when you see some of the resumes out there. You see LinkedIn profiles all the time. It's like, why are you not presenting yourself in a professional light? How do we get you there? And some people listen, some people don't. The ones that listen usually end up having a job.
Yeah, I have like a couple pet peeves, when I'm looking at profiles on LinkedIn, right? So, by the way, I'm looking at yours right now. It looks pretty good.
Thank you.
Not sure how current that picture is, but we won't go there.
It's within the last 6 months.
So I get irritated when I talk to somebody who's, says, "Hey, can you help me? I'm trying to figure out my next move." And first thing I do is I go to their profile. It's just habit now, right? And I see this wasted space, the banner. Nobody, very few people use that. That's like the free advertising, man. That's a billboard where thousands of cars are driving by every day on this platform, and people just ignore it. I'm assuming those are some of the types of things that you educate and teach and train on, and how to, it's not just the words on the page and the profile, it's kind of the visualization of it as well.
Absolutely. And, I had the opportunity, taking myself back. I was an adjunct professor at the University of Maryland in the business school, and I taught a course for like finding jobs out in the workforce. And one of the lessons that we taught was LinkedIn. Have your profile picture,
Right.
be professional, be centered. Don't be sideways. Don't
Yeah.
sit in front of a car. Just be professional. Using that banner, your headline, recommendation, the about me section, keep it fresh, keep it updated. All of those things are super important. You said thousands. I mean, there's a billion users on LinkedIn
Right.
worldwide,
Yeah.
over a billion. And any quality organization that is looking for talent, they get the resume, They do exactly, they go right to LinkedIn and they say, wait a minute, the jobs aren't lining up, the
Right.
dates aren't lining up, and not that you want to judge people, but you're going to judge people,
Especially in this
just
market.
especially in this market. So if they walk into a room, you're making a judgment within 30 seconds. Probably if you go past somebody's LinkedIn profile, you're probably making a judgment in 10 seconds.
Right. Amazing. And that
Yes.
totally off track, but that's kind of how we do this sometimes. I've done several conversations and some posts and stuff talking about LinkedIn as a source of business, for a loan officer, right? And you've said this a few times. It's a professional platform. It's where people. It started as this platform for people to find new hires and for people to find new jobs, right? And it never fails to amaze me how few loan officers are taking advantage of the fact that there are a billion users. Now, they're not, maybe not all in the US. I don't know what that number looks like, but probably the majority of users are gainfully employed in some profession, some profession.
Homeowners or
Yeah.
wannabe homeowners.
If someone can figure this out as a loan officer, how to crack the code on creating meaningful content here, this is a place where I think you could do very well as a professional loan officer. That's my soapbox.
I couldn't agree with you more. We see each other's content. We talk about LinkedIn a lot. I can see who, to me, I don't really care. Like if you like it, you comment on it, like that's all great stuff. But I'm very interested in the eyeballs and how many eyeballs are looking at my content. Hopefully it's relevant and valuable and inspirational. But how many eyeballs? And then of course for me, it's the industry, financial services. But when you see the amount of people that aren't going to press the button or aren't going to make a comment that see it. And
Yeah.
I've experienced this myself. I go to a football tailgate and people are like, oh, I see your content. It's great.
Yeah.
I go to a dance recital. Like, oh man, I really loved what you're doing out there. I've been meaning to like it. I just haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or or other places. I mean, we go to the mailbox in the neighborhood. I have a neighbor that says something. So people see it. And again, if it's relevant and valuable, they're going to stop and look.
That's right.
And you don't know when that's going to happen. So consistency is key. And when they're ready to make those decisions, you're now in their brain, right? You've now reserved a space in their head for whatever product, service, or offering that you have that they can then call to you when it's time for them to make that decision. It's the ultimate top of funnel.
That's right. Yeah. No, it's we could do a whole nother episode on just that alone.
Yes.
Larry, what's the best way for people to get you? I'm guessing LinkedIn, Larry Silver.
LinkedIn's the best. I mean, I love direct messages. I get them all the time. They can come to us. They can see, I'm connected to our company, so they can go there. You can see we have some job postings there. We have some job postings on the website, but there's a lot of different ways to connect with us. I would love to just see what people are up to. For me, the more opportunities that we can provide the professionals in the business, the better. I just really, you talk about like the thing that is in your crawl, the banner. The thing in mine is just how people are generally treated as commodities and driven by interest rates. And we're talking about human beings. We're a service industry. We service, people every single day, our clients, our borrowers, and then the people within the industry. And whether it's somebody that is looking for a job or whether it's somebody that's on your team, the frustration and challenges. And I get it. I mean, I've been there.
Yeah.
I've ridden those waves and I know difficult conversations and difficult things happen, but they're still human beings at the end of the day and they should be treated as human beings. And so for me, that's the thing that gets me the most is how do we best support the people of the industry across the board? And for me, the way that I can do that, I can be an inspiration. I can provide education. I can provide job opportunities and I can provide connections. And hopefully by doing all that through our platform, people are living better lives.
Love that. That's a great way to close the conversation. Larry, thank you so much, man. It's always great to catch up and connect with you. I'm glad to get an update on the Mortgage Career Exchange and look forward to our chance to meet in the wild someday.
Absolutely, Brian. Really appreciate you having me. Thanks so much.
Thanks again, Larry. And thank you all for tuning in this week. Come back in 2 weeks for our next episode of FinTech Fridays.